Good morning, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. This is IMAX Fourth on our football video, and today I'm going over my final NFL standing predictions. I do this on the channel every few weeks, and this will probably be the last one of the season, as there's only 3 more weeks left of the season. So after this week, doing any more of these videos will probably be pointless because it would just kind of be like a weekly predictions video. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First off, we have the Houston Texans at 1-15-1. Texans won a game early on in the season against the Jaguars 9-6. And they had a tie week 1 against the Colts. Other than that, not much to say about the Texans season. I don't expect them to win any more games. 3-4, we have the Chicago Bears. Bears started off okay. I think they started off 3-4 or 3-5, and then their defense died. They won some games on defense because their defense has been good for most of the last 2 years, and it started off good this year, which is how they won their first few games. Once Justin Fields started playing football at a very high level, that's when the Bears defense decided to up and leave existence. So yeah, they haven't been able to win any games because their defense can't stop anything. And so I have them losing all of their last 3 games to finish 3-14. At 4-13, we have the Cardinals and the Rams. Both of these teams have backup quarterbacks in. Both of these teams have been two of the most immense disappointments from this season, as the Cardinals, who were the last team standing last season, and the Rams, who won the Super Bowl, the last undefeated team standing and the team that won the Super Bowl, both only have 4 wins and are now 4-10 week 16. And I don't expect either of them to win any more games for the rest of the year. Biggest one for the Rams is the game against the Broncos. I have the Broncos winning that one to get to 5-12. And then I have the Broncos losing out with the rest of their games other than that one. So, yeah, not much promise for any of these 3 teams. 3 teams that I expect to be 3 of the better teams in the league. And big disappointments all around. I don't think the Rams or Cardinals with their backup quarterbacks will be getting any more wins. And Denver also currently has a backup quarterback in with Brett Rippon. So, yeah, all these teams, horrendous seasons, backup quarterbacks, not looking good. At 5-11-1, we have the Indianapolis Colts. Colts have had an up and down season. They're currently 4-9-1. I have them finishing 1-2 for the rest of the year. I don't believe there's any more team. Actually, there's one more team I have losing out, but I have the Colts finishing 1-2 for the rest of the season, which I think is a pretty fair judgment with the schedule they have left. And Matt Ryan's had an okay season overall. He hasn't been horrendously bad. And a couple of their extra losses came when Sam Ellinger was at quarterback, not when Matt Ryan was at quarterback. So it'll be interesting to see how the Colts finish off the season. But I have them finishing at 5-11, especially after their loss to the Falcons last week after being up 33. If they won that game and they were 5-8 right now, I might potentially have them going. I might potentially have them going 6-10 or 7-9. So. But right now, 5-11 is pretty much where I'm at with the Colts. At 6-11, we have the Panthers, the Falcons, and the Saints, and the Packers. The Packers are currently 6-8. I have them losing out for the rest of the year. They have one of the harder schedules left in the league, and they're not a great team. They have the Dolphins next week, and then they have the Vikings and the Lions. They could win one of those games, but I just think that they're going to lose all of them. Miami needs a win next week if they want to benefit their playoff positioning and to secure their playoff position. If they lose next week, then they're endangering their playoff position because the Patriots could beat them week 17. So big game for the Packers and the Dolphins next week. The Vikings game and the Lions game are both divisional games in Lambeau. I just don't think that the Packers are good enough to win either of those games. I just don't. The Lions have been a gauntlet recently, and the Vikings have been one of the most consistent teams this season. 7-10 might be more realistic because I think that they probably will get one upset out of the 3, but I just don't think that they're going to win any of those games. The other 3 teams are all in the NFC South. They're all currently 5-9. I have them all finishing 6-11 with 1 more win and 2 more losses. I have Tampa finishing off the season winning the division. A lot of divisional games left. The Panthers play both the Saints and the Bucks. The Saints play the Panthers, obviously, and then the Falcons play Tampa as well. So a lot of divisional games left to be had, but I think that Tampa's probably going to win most of their matchups. If they don't, then the division could be wide open. I might be underestimating the Panthers here, but the Panthers have been way too inconsistent. The Falcons have been pretty much on a downward swing since week 4, and the Saints have had so many injuries. They'll look like one of the top teams in the league one week, and then the next week they'll score 0 points. So, yeah. At 7 and 10, we have the Raiders. I was considering switching the Raiders and the Packers for a very long time because the Raiders and the Packers, both of those teams I have losing their last 3 games of the season. They're both 6 and 8. I have them losing all 3 of their last 3 games. But I put the Raiders at 7 and 10 because I think the Raiders have more winnable games. Their first one is the Steelers. I'm picking the Steelers, but I think that the Raiders have a decent chance to win that one, even though the Steelers are my pick. Then they have Kansas City, which is a divisional matchup, and they have the 49ers. Although I think that Kansas City and the 49ers are better teams than the Vikings and the Lions, I think that the Raiders-Chiefs rivalry, the Raiders usually get one over on them once a year, and in Kansas City they almost won. I think that they have a pretty okay chance to beat them at home. 49ers game is also a home game, so yeah, the Packers also have the games in Lambeau, but I think that the Raiders have a slightly better chance just because they have a more explosive offense to get one upset in their last 3 games. At 8 and 9, we have the Jaguars, the Browns, the Steelers, and the Buccaneers. All of these teams started off poorly, and they've gotten slightly better throughout the year, except Tampa started off 3 and 1, and they've declined. But Jacksonville, the Browns, and the Steelers, all these teams, nobody expected anything of. Browns had some expectations when Deshaun Watson came back, but overall, none of these teams have had many expectations. They're all currently 6 and 8. I have them all finishing 8 and 9, winning 2 of their last 3 games this season. Jacksonville's looked really good the last 2 weeks. The Steelers have won, I believe, 4 of their last 5 games, or 5 of their last 7 games, maybe. That sounds right. The Browns have looked okay with Deshaun Watson. Their defense has improved since Deshaun Watson came back. And Tampa's had an up and down year, but I do think that they will win their 2 divisional games to clinch the division down the stretch with Tom Brady. I think that Tom Brady will be able to become Tom Brady for the last couple of weeks of the season to get to 8 and 9 and win the division. Moving on, we have 8 and 9. We have 4 more teams at 8 and 9. We have the Titans, the Seahawks, the Jets, and the Patriots. Yeah, realistically, I don't think that there will be 8 teams that are 8 and 9. I don't think that that's realistically going to happen. But that's where I have all of these teams sitting right now. I don't think any of these teams are going to be better than 9 and 8. I don't think any of them will be worse than 7 and 10. Patriots, the Jets, the Titans, and the Seahawks are all 7 and 7. So I have all these teams finishing 1 and 2 for the rest of the year. Unlike the previous groups, these teams all start off the season fairly strongly. The Patriots were the weakest to start off the year, but they caught back up. Tennessee started 7 and 3. The Seahawks started 7 and 4. The Jets started 7 and 3, or 7 and 4. The Patriots started 7 and 4 as well. So all of these teams have started off pretty good, and then they've just fallen considerably to 8. And I think that by the end of the year, they'll all finish 8 and 9. Tennessee's looked like the worst team of these 4 the last 3 weeks. Patriots have had some bad luck, but they've also just been stupid. The Jets have looked worse and worse every week, and Seattle just hasn't looked the same as they did when they were 7 and 4. At 8 and 1, we have the Washington Commanders, and at 9, 7 and 1, we have the New York Giants. These teams tied earlier on in the season. The Giants won their second matchup. I have Washington finishing off the season with 2 wins and a loss, and I have the Giants finish out the season with 1 win and 2 losses. Both of these teams have been mediocre this year. The Giants started off stronger than Washington. Washington had a stronger second half. I think Washington will continue their strong second half for the last few games of the season, and the Giants' schedule just looks too difficult for them to finish with more than 9 wins. At 10-7, we have the Lions, the Ravens, and the Dolphins. Tale of two teams. I have the Lions winning the last 3 games of the season. I have the Ravens and Dolphins Ravens winning 1 of their last 3. Dolphins winning 2 of their last 3. Miami's looked poor the last 2 weeks, but I have them making up some ground the last couple of games to get to 10-7. I have the Lions winning 3 of their last 3 games against against their very easy schedule, including the Packers, the Panthers, and the one more, Lions. So I think that they should be able to beat the Packers, the Panthers, and the Lions for the last 3 weeks of the season. As for the Ravens, they're currently 9-5. I have them finishing 10-7 because of the quarterback situation, and I just think that I don't think that Tyler Huntley can win more than 1 game with the schedule they have remaining. At 11-6, we have the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers are currently 8-6. I have them winning the last 3 games of the season. They probably have the easiest schedule left in the league, except for maybe the Lions, which is why I have both of those teams finishing winning the last 3 games of the season. Knowing the Chargers this year, they'll probably finish 2-1, and they'll finish 10-7 with how they've been playing most of the year. They've been very inconsistent. The Chargers have the potential to finish 9-8, but I think 11-6 is most likely. At 12-5, we have the Bengals. Again, with most of these teams, like with the Bengals, 13-4 is possible, but I think the 12-5 is more likely with the schedule they have. I do have them losing to the Bills in their matchup, which is I'm not sure about. So the reason why I have them at 12-5 is technically because of the Bills game, but I picked the Bills game because I believe that the Bills are more likely to win out than the Bengals are. I think the Bengals might win that game, but I think the Bills' odds of winning out are more likely than the Bengals' odds of winning out. So since this is a record prediction video, not a game prediction video, I have the Bengals at 12-5. At 13-4, we have the Cowboys and the 49ers. Both of these teams currently are 10-4. I have them finishing off the season 13-4, winning out. The Cowboys have the Eagles this week, so this video could just be wrong within 1 week by posting it, because the Eagles are the best team in the league, and the Cowboys do play them this week. If they win it, but they are home, and if they win this week, then they'll probably be back into the elite in my power rankings. I think that they can beat them at home, and I have both of these teams winning out for the rest of the year. 14-3 of the Chiefs, the Vikings, and the Buffalo Bills. I have all of these teams winning out. All of these teams are currently 11-3. Buffalo, Kansas City, and the Vikings are all currently 11-3. And I have them all finishing off the season 14-3. The Bills, I think, have the hardest schedule of the 3, with the Patriots, the Bengals, and one other game. Kansas City schedule. On the easier side, they have Seattle, they have the Raiders, and they have the Broncos. And then the Vikings schedule, the biggest game is the Packers in Lambeau. I do think the Vikings are the better team, and they're going to be able to win that game because the Packers have been so bad this year, but it's in Lambeau. You never know what's going to happen. And then the Giants have been mediocre, and the Bears have been bad. So 14-3, I have all these teams finishing. And yeah. At 15-2 with the Philadelphia Eagles, I have them losing to the Cowboys this week. But other than that, if they win this week, I have them finishing off the season 16-1. I don't see many issues with the Eagles' schedule after the Cowboys game, and they've just been dominant this year. So, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace. Huge shout out to Quinn Lacey for supporting the channel with a channel membership.